All right. First of all, I appreciate all y'all being here at the last press conference. None of y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, that's right, because y'all weren't here. Talking about you. Kelly was. But I do like what I did the first time. Just a little more question, just open up with questions and whatnot. But supposed to talk about cigarettes and denim, but so I think you guys. I think I've said it that I've done some permanent team captains now before the season starts. So first we did Trey Maddox, then we did Aiden Burr, and today I did Jordan Walker. They'll see on their captain on their chest for the season. And next Tuesday, 2 days before we play, I'll make a decision on one more for the team. And before anybody asks me what changed my decision and why I did it, I just did. There's no rhyme or reason, just felt right. And about who those guys are and what they've done. So it just felt right. That's the reason. But and then the other thing I do want to say is that it was pretty cool to see a couple weeks ago that the student tickets are already sold out. I went over on Sunday and spoke to all the freshmen. I think it's the largest freshman class that's ever come in here at Tech. It's 7,600, I think, something like that. I mean, it's incredible how the school's grown, especially in the last 2 to 3 years. But the student tickets sold out. I think 7,000. But if there's 7,600 freshmen, that means you kind of do the math, right? So I'm going to say it. I'll probably get in trouble for saying it, but guys, come on. Students, come on. We'll find a way. I'll find a way. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that every student on this campus is at the game next Thursday night, then the next Saturday, then the next Saturday. Right? There is not a better home field advantage in all the country than what we have when our student body is here rocking and playing the game along with us. So please, don't look at it and say that it's sold out and you can't get one. We'll find one for you, promise. All right, now we'll have questions.
Kelly?
He asked a bunch last week. He should go later in line. No, or first privilege.
Just curious kind of where you are injury-wise now the camp's over.
We'll talk about it next week when we get ready.
Do you, just I guess in a more overall broad?
Yeah, overall broad. We'll talk about it next week, broadly.
Okay.
We're a lot healthier than we were yesterday.
In terms of, Trelane was the first one that you gave the C to.
Who's that?
Trelane.
Oh.
What went into, he's a
It just felt right.
Guy.
It just felt right. It really did. And I'm not BSing when I say that. It just felt right. Watching the guys for the last 8 months. And I think probably, Kelly, because they really separated themselves from everybody. And look, it's not a game where you have individuals at all. But y'all have heard me talk about my kind of, my ongoing deep dive into leadership and my thoughts on it now. And I really believe if you have everybody wants to be a leader. You're trying to make everybody a leader. Or we spend way too much time as coaches trying to force square pegs and round holes and make people leaders that might not really want to be a leader, right? Might not have the capabilities, but more so might not want to. If you have 100 leaders on a team, you're going to go 100 different directions probably. And by taking this approach, really throughout this entire year, you've seen guys really stand out and elevate themselves as that. But again, we're playing together 100 guys on the team playing as one. That's all that really matters. But these guys have really done things to separate themselves, and all of them independently and different, all in their own way. Jordan's been here the least amount of time. He's probably the most vocal, just to see the team, the dynamics of the team shift, really starting with him, then the defensive line, then the defense, and now the whole team, which has been different than the last 4 years since I've been the head coach. It really is. So that was a really cool dynamic to see take place. I've talked so many times about Aiden and what a great football player he is and how much he means to the team. And when he stands up in front of the team, how he commands everyone's respect and everyone listens. Probably talked to him the most over the summer, over vacation, break time. Probably twice a week, me and him would talk on the phone, just different things. And then Trey, not only what he's done on the field, how he carries himself as a man, but the adversity he's overcome. So really all three of them have different paths to get to there. And like I said, it just felt right. It really did.
Rod?
In this year's camp, did you make any changes from what you had done the previous year that you felt, improved how you went about things?
I did.
And?
If we win, I'll be a genius. If we don't, I'll be an idiot. But I did. I'll let you know after the fact. We did, but not to be. See, some people might think that was rude. It wasn't rude. If y'all know me, it's not rude. That's just me being me to Rob. But we did a lot of little things that probably to the naked eye, I probably compare it very similar like to the offense. To the naked eye, it's going to look the same, right? But there's a lot of things within it that we hope create an advantage for us. Same thing defensively. There's still 11 guys on the field, but there's a lot of things we've done within it. It's still a 2-hour practice. There's a lot of things we've done within it, whether it be from a sports science standpoint, whether it be from just a gut feeling, intuition standpoint, whether it be from getting feedback from players currently on the team, formerly on the team, meeting with those guys, talking to a lot of different people at all levels, high school, college, and pro. So all that went into it, little tweaks here and there.
Phil?
Just wanted to ask you how you went about your evaluation of Alberto when you're trying to figure out if he was going to fit here. His games in Indiana weren't very competitive once he got in the game, that kind of thing. So how did you go about it, like evaluating?
It's such an inexact science with the transfer portal because you have such a small window to make decisions on guys, and you talk to high school coaches, where he has played competitively, other people on the team, coaches. I mean, just we try to leave no stone unturned when it comes to the evaluation, especially at that position. People that know him, friends, just competitive makeup. There's so many things that go into it, and it's such a short period of time. I mean, and his was such a turnaround, wham bam. And there's 3 schools, and boom. I mean, you're fighting your butt off to get the first visit, right? And then you've got really a 24-hour window to ask all the questions. That's really my trust in the staff and my reliance on the staff, because as we're vetting guys out, right? They're interviewing us and we're interviewing them. It's a two-way street when it comes to that, right? It is a different take than it is in high school. Although I do think the high school recruiting has become more professional over the last year. I do. But you have to ask the right questions. You have to ask the hard questions. You have to call as many people, talk to as many people as you can. You'll have a chance to sit down with his parents. I mean, just the type of people they are, the character and the makeup of the family, values that they have, the intelligence factor. And you put it all together, and then you cross your fingers and hope like hell that you get it right. But by the time those guys really get to me, because we've had plenty of guys that have come through on visits and meeting with, and they don't even get to me because the coaching staff might say, hey, they don't fit us. They might be a great player, they might be a great talent, but they don't fit really what we're looking for in that position. And that was the case with a lot of the different guys we looked at. I mean, I was pretty dead set on I wanted a quarterback with multiple years. That was a big thing that I wanted, because I think it's hard to build your program. I mean, how many times have I said it? I mean, quarterback is the most important position in all sports, right? And to be a one in, I ain't figured out how to do it that way yet. I like to have guys that you can develop, you can pour into. A lot of it is the character and makeup of Georgia Tech, the shared adversity that takes place in that locker room, and having the main guy, the signal caller, be a guy that has kind of gone through that with the other ones. The brothership, the bonds. So those are all things that I was looking for in that position.
Butcher.
Hey, Chris talked to us about the volume that's in this offense with personnel and scheme or formations. What is it about Alberto that he's going to be able to thrive with all that information at birth?
It's not that much, guys. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't consider it well, I guess it is a lot. Yeah, it is. I got to break you in a little bit, man. You're standing way close to the field today. I came with the loudspeaker like twice. I was like, could you back up?
That was me?
Yeah, it was you.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, you in the almost red shirt. So, look, the quarterback's got to be intelligent, right? And they have to be tough. Toughness is the number one quality we're looking for in the quarterback, and that's mental toughness. And I went home and told my wife a couple nights ago. I said, Godsey and Berto have kind of a language, their own love language with each other, and sometimes it's not something that's very politically correct for primetime television, but they're very similar guys. Same with Chris. So to be developed by those guys, the volume we have. Look, the volume of our offense, the volume of our defense, the volume of our special teams is going to be directly correlated to our ability to learn it. There's not for 1 second, myself or our coaches, am I going to say, hey, this is the offense we run, you got to learn it. That is just flat stupid. That's a dumb coach to me. Right? All schemes are personnel driven, right? From a ability standpoint and an intelligence standpoint, right? But I challenge our guys. One of our advantages that we have is our ability to carry more volume in all three phases. Right? And we challenge our guys from January with that, to learn it, to study it, to stay in their playbooks, to quiz each other. I mean, you look at you talk about the pyramid of retention, and it's something I really believe in, that the highest level of retention is when you can stand in front of your peers and teach it to them, right? And those are all things we ask our guys to do, and that's how you really tell if you know what to do. And then how do you do it? And then the final of why you're doing everything. And he's got command. He knows where all of the 10 guys are supposed to be, and where all 11 guys on defense are supposed to be. But in the end of the day, you say all these things, but he still has not started a college football game. Okay, he's a sophomore, right? He's gonna take his lumps and his bumps, and that's on us as coaches to not have to put the whole thing into his into the arsenal to start, right? But what you don't want to do is get to game 2, game 3, game 4, game 5, or worse than that, get to the second quarter and say, hey, I want to run this play. This is a complement to this. This is an adjustment we need to make, and you can't put it in. Or you're trying to put it in on Tuesday night. All right, so we put a lot of volume in it, but once we put the game plan together, the volume will be really pared down for each individual game plan.
Coach, just want to ask you a little bit about just the trenches on both sides of the ball. That was a big point of emphasis that you emphasized in the spring. Just how do you feel about that group going into the season, and how have they been pressing in camp?
Yeah, I've been high on the D-line since the spring. I think they've really established themselves from a maturity standpoint, from a play standpoint, from a confidence standpoint. They have a lot of confidence about them. And, the first 2 weeks, when you combine the installation, the multiples of what they're seeing across from them, and then the ability level of the D-line, the offensive line, that was a tough first couple of weeks, right? And I told Mo the other day, I said, man, he got coach of the year for the week. Think about that one. Just how they really, really, from the first scrimmage until now, how the O-line has really come together. It's no secret I'm going to play guys in multiple positions to be able to develop the most continuity if somebody does go down. I don't believe in playing the backup at a certain position because that guy goes down. I want the 6th best O-lineman to go in, the 7th best then after that. So we've been working all those, finding the right spots for people, the right backup spots for people, and finding those guys we're going to play with. But I've been really, really happy with the offensive line. You're seeing those accumulated, double teams and body blows and just work with each other, really starting to add up now. And the production of the offense, obviously, going along with it. So I've been pleased with both of them. But, we're still, 9 days out from playing. We got a long way to go. Okay, there's a lot of guys out there. Every time they see something new, it's gonna be the first time they've ever seen it. All right, so we're trying to throw as much at them as we can on both sides of the ball, whether it be blocking schemes for the D linemen, whether it be different situations for both sides of the ball. Today was a heavy situational practice. Different fronts, different blitzes and stunts, different forms of tempo and offense that those guys are seeing everything right now, really force feeding them. And I think for the first couple of weeks, it probably felt like they were drinking out of a fire hose, and I think it's starting to slow down for them now.
Yeah, Coach. Just want to talk about Tae Harris, like being one of those guys that was a freshman, got a chance to play in all the games last year. I want to see what have you noticed from him as far as from a leadership standpoint going into his second year at second.
He's a guy back in the beginning of the year, January and February, that we really wanted to be in a leadership position. But again, we were trying to put him in that in some of those roles, and then you'd see it kind of fall back. Well, he's a perfect example of once you stop trying to force feed leadership to somebody, you start to see who the leaders are, and he goes from doing this to going to you flip the palms back over and play the next play, right? I've been very pleased with him, very pleased with Tae. Love that kid. He's an unbelievable kid. Just from the whole, going 3 years now. Last year, the year prior, recruiting of him, and he's one that should have played more last year. He should have played a lot more last year. And look, that's on me, but that won't happen this year. Tae will be out there. So he's explosive. He's fast. Great communicator. He's really improved from that standpoint of the communication. But I think also, he's been playing next to Savion really every day now for 30-something practices. So that continuity they're starting to have, and then the other guys in the back end, we're starting to look. I look at DBs like O-line, and that there's 5 guys out there. They all have to play together. They all have to communicate. The difference is they play sideline to sideline. O-line plays in a box. So the continuity of those guys, moving guys around now, being able to have our best 5 on the field at all times, regardless of any type of injuries or anything that might happen.
Go, Alex, and then Patrick.
Coach, going off the scrimmage on Saturday, does anything stand out from the first scrimmage to the second one? Anything improved, specifically kind of anything?
Yeah, we got better.
A long way?
We got better. We did. We improved as a team. So I was pleased with that.
Patrick. Coach Key, expanding on a question from a few minutes ago about Alberto and then D-line. Since 2022, the world of college football roster management, whole different tsunami, for lack of a better word. Does that impair your ability to put your team together and let them meld and grow together and work as a unit in the short period of time that you have them in the summer before the first game?
I think we've played better football, since we put face masks on helmets. I think we have a more competitive game now that we don't have split national champions. All right, but the point I'm making is there's cycles every 20, 25 years in college football. Things change, right? And, it's becoming – and look, I don't have experience as the head coach in any other time or era of college football other than this. So I don't know any different. All I know is building the roster management, transfer portal, acquisition, retention, right? The balance of high school versus free agents. I mean, that's all I really know. So it's hard for me to really answer that fairly because I don't have experience the other way. So, but I've said it numerous times that I enjoy this part. It's allowed Georgia Tech to really to be in the position we're in now, right? Being able to find your own type of advantage for the school you're at with the players you have in the way you build your roster. That's the mental part of being a head coach that I really, really enjoy.
You had Weston as your anchor for a long time in the offensive line. It seems like the center position's kind of been in flux since he left. And you had
Just last year it was.
Well, yeah.
Last year it really was.
And then
Yeah, you want to get me really started? Well, you already know the answer to that question, dog.
you had young guys injured in the spring. Just kind of how have you seen that position develop in camp, and kind of what's the competition like right now?
So what he's trying to say is, hey, why don't you say who the starting center is? You'll find out on Thursday. Competition is the best thing we can ever have. And as sure as we're all standing and sitting here right now, the one thing we all know, injuries happen in football. Guys get hurt, guys miss time, and you've got to develop, especially at those, outside of quarterback, there's one person that touches the football every play, and that's the center. And it's not easy. It's not an easy position. Not only athletic ability, the certain ability, skill set that you have to have, but there's a mental approach to the game that I look for in a center. And I think we got a few guys that have really emerged, and maybe guys we didn't think would have been able to. So, again, if anything happens to one, we feel like we can really continue to play the same type of competitive football that we want to play.
We'll talk about the tight end room. There's a lot of different skill sets in that. Do you feel like George Godsey's offense, his volume, do you feel like it gives you more flexibility in how you use those guys in the room?
Well, we used them pretty good the last few years too. I mean, I laughed and told somebody today, I said, as long as I'm the head coach here, we're going to have tight ends, we're going to have running backs. Right? You can bet your ass that. All right? And, obviously you want to continue to get better and better ones. I think we've hit really well on some of the transfers, but I also think we've hit really well on some of the freshmen that we've signed out of high school. And that's the balance you're always looking for in building your roster is, high school versus college versus high school, the development of guys within your program. And we've got a really good mix there, really good mix. The Ivies have been really good to us, at that position. But if you look at it, it's not shocking. It's not a surprising thing why. To leave that school, one of those schools, come here, be in the city of Atlanta, play the type of football we play, the way we use tight ends, use multiple tight ends, and that's been the case, since the day I stood up here and said thanks for giving me the job. So I've been pleased with them.
What's it been like for you personally and professionally to be working again with George and him installing that offense, you guys together?
Pretty cool. A lot of experience together. We know each other. It feels natural. It feels natural. Look, this is somebody that you 5 years in college and roommates, and then we go on and we work for Coach O'Leary for so long together, and he goes off and for the last 15 years been in the NFL. But it's not like we hadn't talked or seen each other. Talking about spending dang near every summer together, and talking all the time, talking ball. And look, we ain't calling to ask how each other are doing. When we talked over these years, probably 2 to 3 nights a week. I vividly remember, in Tuscaloosa driving home, and he had left Houston, was up in Detroit, and we talked dang near every night. Same thing in Miami. And then he goes to Baltimore. But when we were making, coming about it on this decision, right? We spent endless hours over in long nights talking about all the different scenarios that, because of our friendship. Hey, what if this happens? What about when this happens? How are we going to handle this? How are we going to deal with this? And I think probably the biggest thing is when we get together and we're in with my office or his office talking, and we're talking ball, we probably need to trim out a little bit of the excess, just kind of BSing that we do with each other. Because, hey, this reminds us back in 2006 when Coach O'Leary did this, or, how about when you were in New England? Just those types of conversations. But, and look, we've had things, there's things we've not agreed on, right? But there's not one time we walked out of my office not in agreement. That's what that type of relationship does. But at the end of the day, friends, not friends, me and George are 100% aligned on one thing, and that's winning at Georgia Tech. All right, having the best players we can possibly get and play the best football we can possibly play unselfishly in order to win a football game. And probably the coolest thing about it has been he sees the game the way I do. I see the game the way he does because of the way we were brought up, whether it be staffing, whether it be the delegation of work among the staff and the young guys, and how we're developing young coaches. Look, I think everybody here knows what I think of Nate Brock as a young coach, and we've allowed Nate Brock to call plays in the last 2 scrimmages, really to develop, help develop him as a coach. But we see it the same way. We do. And there's some things people might have looked a little like this the last 3 years that I might have done, and now they're like, oh, now it makes sense. You're not the only one. So whether that was good or bad.
Coach, just want to ask you about the linebackers. Hasn't been talked about a lot, but obviously 4 veterans there, 3 new guys, and then we talked about the new guys. But just have you seen a difference in playing with Jason Seymour as the linebacker coach and the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, Boogie's done a great job with those guys. Jack Tyler is another guy I'm really high on as a young coach. I brought up Nate. Jack is another guy that is a really, really good coach. He's coached the position in the ACC. He's coordinated, running his whole side of the ball, and then bringing Ace Ely along, having Ace here with us as a young coach. So you've really got all levels. You got the play caller, the defensive coordinator, then you have kind of the younger linebacker coach, and then you have Ace and the impact he's had on the guys off the field, on the field, how to carry yourself, how to prepare. I mean, not very long ago he was here and playing really good football for us, really good football. So he's had a tremendous impact on those guys. So all those guys together have really helped elevate that room. I think Kyle's playing as good a football as he's played, because of the positions that Jason's putting him in. And then, same with EJ. And, EJ can play both spots. Kyle can play both spots. Cayman's been the best version of himself, really for 3.5 weeks now. It's been the absolute best version of himself. And for him to let go of some of the emotional things that he had in the past that kept him from being a contributor as much as he could have, it's allowed him now to really pick up the defense. I mean, I laughed the other day. I said, that's another one that Boogie got to, right? Ace has been big in that one. I mean, he plays so fast now. He's communicating, just doing a lot of really good things on the field. But to be unselfish and to let go of some of those things that kept that, it's made us a better football team. It's made us a lot better football team. Melvin, coming back again is really giving us somebody that he's a great communicator. He gets everybody lined up. And then I can't say enough about the 2 freshmen. Can't say enough about those guys, CJ and Braylon. I mean, 34, 35, 35, 34. I mean, when they're out on the field, they're fun to watch. Now, they're gonna make mistakes, right? As I told the staff yesterday, I said, well, they'll make a lot less mistakes in Game 6 because they played in the first 5, right? That's the only way to get them to continue to develop and improve. And we're committed to that. I'm committed to that, right? We're going to need those guys. Whether they're getting their feet wet early on special teams or ready to play. I mean, Outlaw, every time I looked up, he was showing up really the last week and a half on the field. And I mentioned that in the springtime, and then he got sick and had to miss a little time. And he's just a tremendous athlete. CJ has such a high level of football IQ, knowing where to be, how to fit plays, how to communicate. That goes back to CJ. Obviously knowing Joey King for so many years, his high school coach, who also coached Kelvin, and Kelvin's playing as good a football. So when you talk about the type of high school programs these guys come from, that's so important in the acquisition standpoint of these guys. And look, when I walk into Joey's high school and he tells me a guy's a player and he believes in him and he's a captain type guy, I believe him. I do, and that's what CJ's shown us.
Time for a couple more, Kelly.
I think it's interesting. Some people are making a lot out of, like you saying, you had 250 plays or whatever the other day. When Coach Friedgen was here, you and George played for him, and he was quick to throw unique things in, give you a lot of volume. I guess how much did you guys learn from that? And is there aspects of that you brought into this offense, the Georgia Tech offense, as you call it, since you've been here?
Yeah, look, Coach Friedgen was impacted both of us, and I still think to this day he's one of the most brilliant offensive minds I've ever been around when it comes to putting personnel in position to get matchups and make plays and keep defense off balance. Those things we've carried with us for so many years. I mean, it was a pretty cool thing back then because you had Coach O'Leary, who was a defensive coach, you had Friedgen, who was offensive coach, and then going to work for Coach for so many years at UCF, and some of those principles, and then Charlie Taff, who came in, and Charlie was his OC at Maryland, and really those same principles, right? And then as me and George both kind of went on in our careers, getting to Alabama, there was still a lot of those things that whether I would incorporate him, whether it was whoever was coordinator. And then I think then is the last year there when Locks is the coordinator, he's another free agent guy, right? So just so many of these elements have kind of been with us for so many years, and having a chance to visit with Coach Friedgen, whether it be in the spring at golf tournaments and talking to him on the phone, still just as wise as he's ever been. I mean, he's sitting there talking about conversions and different drills to do and personnel groups and how to get different mismatches. And he watches football and when me and George laugh about it all the time. Some of the things used to piss us off the most when we were young coaches. We're like, man, these guys are crazy. I mean, man, you look back on it now and say that they were so right. They were so right. So I know those guys are saying the same things about us downstairs in the GA rooms and stuff. So hopefully they'll have that same about face at some point in their career, because I can remember times Coach O'Leary would walk in, throw everything out of the way, draw one formation on the board, and say either run this play or this play until you get it right. I'm like, what? Come on. And now you look at it and you're like, man, he was so right. Joe Pendry, who was another one who was such an influence on me, in my time at Alabama. And Joe really came from that same tree that Ralph had come from. So again, you're talking about just whether it's terminology, whether it's ways to play the game. Some of the same formations have been the same formations for me for 30 years now, right? So there's been a lot of carryover in my career, same in George's career with that. You have because of different people too, you have a lot of the New England influence that's come in, whether it, obviously George being in that tree for a long time, OB being in that tree for a long time, Dable coming, me and Brian working together at Alabama. So you see all the influences kind of come together and how we've built it, and it's really what we've done every year. But all that being said, we're going to put the best thing for our personnel out there. And how that's evolved over these 4 years, we'll continue to see.
Coach, speaking of the coordinators, have you guys figured out who's going to be up top, who's going to be on the field, or kind of is that something closer to game time?
Yeah, we have. Do you want to know? Can I ask you what? Like, why is that always a question?
We get asked that all the time.
Yeah.
On your message boards?
Uh-huh.
Why is that? What if I said nobody was downstairs? So everybody's down. Is that a secret given away? Yeah. George is down, Boogie's down, and Berto's our quarterback. Yeah, don't forget that one, Alex.
Patrick, if you want to wrap us up.
Coach Key, with Thursday kickoff, when do you start Colorado-specific preparation?
Back in June. May, probably May. I started watching them in May. Look, it's gonna be a hard fought football game. They've got new coordinators. We have new coordinators. Who's going to be the best at what they do, and they're based off. You talk about influences from the old heads, from Coach O'Leary and Coach Saban, Coach Friedgen, all those guys. You go in the first game, you better be good at your base offense, defense, and special teams, right? Because you really don't know what those guys, what the other side's going to do. But we threw a little bit at them today, a couple teach periods, just a few things. I'm not a believer in practicing for the opponent 2 weeks prior. I want to keep it as much of a normalized game week as possible, especially in the first game, because the unknowns. If you go out there and guess on something that you're going to see this and they play something totally different, and you practice for 2 weeks on it, and it's just wasted reps. But we threw them a couple little periods today. We'll throw a couple more tomorrow. Then Thursday they'll lift and meet, no practice, and then Friday we'll start in full bore. We'll deliver the scouting reports to them on Thursday morning in meetings.